Hello, Jamaica Politics Uncovered viewers. Welcome to an episode of True Crime Story, starring Leoda Bradshaw. Now, guys, the first thing you need to know about this story is that it all started at politics. It was politically motivated and it spilled over and escalated into something much more tragic. The next thing you need to know is that this crime all started as a cybercrime, and it started within the People's National Party by a faction we know as the Rise United movement. It is alleged that these two women, Kamala Forbes and Sia Wilson, are the people who were behind the initial plot to take down Philip Paulwell. And they started it by going after Leoda Bradshaw with news that Philip Paulwell's daughter was born. It's the same set of people who are implicated in the murder of Melissa Silvera. They're all members of the Rise United movement faction in the People's National Party. Now, if you look at the date that is on this message sent to Leoda Bradshaw, it was sent to Leoda in May of 2023. The crime was committed in August of 2023. They had been reaching out to both Philip Paulwell to extort, manipulate him, intimidate him, and they were also reaching out to Leoda Bradshaw at the same time to tell her that Mr. Paulwell had a daughter. So a brief psychological profile of Leoda Bradshaw. Leoda Bradshaw co-parented an 8-year-old daughter with Mr. Paulwell. It is alleged that Miss Bradshaw had some jealous tendencies. She would befriend everyone that Mr. Paulwell knew, especially female, and she would also make herself present in his life as if to say, I'm here, I'm his number one, and I'll always be here. When she had an entire life going on in the U.S. She was married at one point after she had their child. She was living and working in the U.S. where she was also a U.S. citizen. Mr. Paulwell was present in his daughter's life, and he played the role of a father and took full responsibility since the child was born. The messages that were being sent to Miss Bradshaw by the members of the Rise United movement were going to her spam messages on Facebook. She had not seen the messages that were being sent to her. When she finally saw the messages in her spam, she had received the information that Mr. Paulwell's daughter was born, the information about the mother of the daughter, and started making contact with Toshyna Patterson. She was telling her about a DNA test and inquiring about the relationship. Keep in mind that Mr. Paulwell's phone had been hacked as well. So the hackers were funneling information to Mrs. Bradshaw. That includes photos and videos of Mr. Paulwell and the mother of his child, as well as the child. That infuriated her. According to a source, Miss Bradshaw and Miss Patterson, the mother of Soraya Paulwell, had a heated argument over the phone because Miss Bradshaw wanted to have this conversation about how the child should be taken care of and the role that Mr. Paulwell and Miss Bradshaw would play in the child's life. That did not sit well with Miss Patterson, and so Miss Patterson ended up blocking her. Mr. Paulwell had no idea that this conversation was going on between the women. The persons behind this crime had no idea what was about to happen, but it was a perfect plot to take down Philip Paulwell. Leoda Bradshaw was on her way to Jamaica. She left her 8-year-old daughter behind. When she arrived in Jamaica, she did not go to Mr. Paulwell's place of residence immediately. She went to Stony Hill, where she met with the men she hired to carry out the abduction and murder of Toshyna Paulwell and Soraya Paulwell. Toshyna Paulwell and her daughter Soraya Paulwell went missing from their home. The report was made by the family members of Toshyna Paulwell and Mr. Paulwell. Leoda Bradshaw arrived at Mr. Paulwell's residence about a day or so after she landed in Jamaica. By now, when it was public that the mother and daughter had been missing, Leoda put out a statement denying having anything to do with it, and also explained that she had contact with Miss Patterson about the child and about the welfare of the child. Leoda Bradshaw said that she hoped Miss Patterson and baby Paulwell would return safe. Leoda put out the statement after the sister of Miss Toshyna Paulwell told police that it was Leoda who came to the house and picked up her sister and her baby. Leoda denied wrongdoing. The Jamaica Constabulary Force opened an investigation based on information that they received about Leoda picking up the mother and daughter from the house and a description of the vehicle. Leoda became a suspect. Based on the description of the vehicle, the police needed to speak with Mr. Paulwell. They need to look at the vehicle. A tracking device on the vehicle revealed that it had indeed been to the address of Miss Toshyna Patterson, and Mr. Paulwell was not the driver. In fact, he had gone jogging that morning. Leoda was at the airport, but she wouldn't get on the plane. The police officers were on to her, and they told her that she could not leave the country. She was not yet under arrest, but there was an active investigation, and she was a suspect. She made her way back to Mr. Paulwell's house. It is unclear whether Mr. Paulwell knew that Leoda was being investigated as a suspect, or maybe he was advised by police to not act suspicious of her, but to let her stay there. That way, she doesn't leave the country by water. On October 5th, 2023, Leoda Bradshaw, 34 years old, Navy sailor, was arrested and charged for the murder of Toshyna Patterson and Soraya Paulwell. Prosecutors say Leoda Bradshaw hired 3 men to kidnap the mother and daughter, unalive, and burn their bodies. Their remains have been found. 2 of the co-accused pled guilty, and Leoda Bradshaw is still in police custody. The daughter she shares with Mr. Paulwell is in the custody of Mr. Paulwell. It is unclear whether the police investigated the cybercrime that occurred prior to the murder. The police is investigating another murder with the same group of people implicated in the murder. The victim is Melissa Silvera, a chemical engineer. Her husband, Jolyon Silvera, has been charged with her murder and other felonies related to the murder. It is a murder cover-up implicating other members of the Rise United movement faction within the People's National Party. Keep it locked here, guys. Jamaica Politics Uncovered. Make sure you're subscribed, your notification is on, and you are inviting your friends. And stay with us as we continue to highlight and keep Melissa Silvera and her memories alive as we stay on this journey for justice. See you in the next video.